Alright, in tonight's tag team offering on RWL Superstars, Akira Tozawa and Shinsuke Nakamura joining forces again in a non-title matchup with the RWL Undisputed World Tag Team Champions John Van and Guy Cormier, the Originals.
The following non-title tag team contest is set for one fall with a 15-minute time limit. Introducing first, at a combined weight of 305 pounds, hailing from Japan, Shinsuke Nakamura and Akira Tozawa.
And Tex, this Japanese pair has certainly impressed us in the past. Akira Tozawa and Shinsuke Nakamura, with their own unique Japanese stylings, certainly going to prove an interesting challenge for John Van and Guy Cormier.
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, well, the Originals, they can brawl with the best of them, and well, that might be something that Nakamura and Tozawa might not be too used to.
Which in the final analysis is going to lead to a very solid matchup.
And it is party time in Charlotte. John, Guy, and Sylvia are in the house.
Their opponents, accompanied by Sylvia Strong, at a combined weight of 520 pounds, from Chicago, Illinois, the Chicago Hammer John Van, and from Staten Island, New York, the Staten Island Crippler Guy Cormier, the RWL Undisputed World Tag Team Champions, the Originals.
Yes, they're always a good time when John and Guy come to town to bring Sylvia along with them. Well, Johnny Bianco isn't out there right alongside Sylvia, but I suppose he's probably somewhere in the back. The Originals, the Undisputed World Tag Team Champions, and have been for a number of years. Nobody been able to take them down. They are known as the team that has whipped the world 3 times and with just cause. And this matchup between the Originals and Tozawa and Nakamura, well, it's going to be a good one no matter how you slice it.
Genuinely looking forward to it, but certainly favoring the Undisputed World Tag Team Champions in this matchup. I have the greatest respect for Tozawa and Nakamura, but despite that, the Originals are virtually unbeatable.
Yes, they've been number 1 for a very long time, and they have made Sylvia Strong a heap of money and a whole stack of power, and she's loving both of them.
Most certainly, out of all the tag teams within the Stronghold, the Originals are the oldest, the best, and the longest surviving.
Now, we've seen Nakamura and Tozawa pull off some pretty shocking upsets in the past. However, I am not banking on one of those happening tonight. Like you, I think the Originals pretty much have this one in the bag.
And coming hot off their last title defense, there is no pressure involving the Undisputed World Tag Team Champions, so the Originals are just here for a fight, and look at the smiles on the faces of John and Guy.
Yeah, Don, the Originals love a good fight, and they always come ready for one. Akira Tozawa and John Van starting us off here. Tom Kanemaru rings the bell, away we go. John Van, off the ropes, flying punch, takes down Akira Tozawa. Sylvia Strong already applauding the boys. Here comes Guy Cormier on the tag almost immediately. Guy. Well, both guys missed their move. Guy with the hard shot to the midsection to Tozawa. A knee, a kick, an elbow, another kick, and another kick that takes Akira Tozawa down to the mat again. Tozawa quickly back to his feet. A spinning punch takes him just as quickly right back down again. Guy Cormier real aggressive here, taken down to the mat. Akira Tozawa beating it out of town. Here comes Shinsuke Nakamura. Guy Cormier tags him with a running kick. Tozawa back up on his feet. Rebound off the ropes. A flying punch from Guy Cormier on Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura rounded up to his feet, a forearm, drops him again. John Van tagged in. The Undisputed World Tag Team Champions working real efficiently. A kick. Shinsuke Nakamura counters, puts John in the corner. John Van catches a kick to the back of the head. Here goes Nakamura off the ropes, and whoa, that was pretty cool. Oh, wow. Shinsuke Nakamura moves in on John Van, locks him up. Hard whip to the ropes. John Van puts on the brakes. A big-time running kick to Shinsuke Nakamura. John gets hung up by Akira Tozawa. Nakamura with a kick to John Van and a stomp to the shoulder. Nakamura rounds up John, locks him up. John Van counters with elbows to the midsection. John Van, whoa! Big time knee to the skull of Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura quickly taken down by John Van, and here's some schoolyard bully pummeling from the Chicago Hammer. John Van goes right back for more. A series of hard lefts to the side of the head of Nakamura, followed up with a stomp to the midsection. Nakamura counters with a couple of rights. Gets back up on his feet first. John Van rolls out. Goes after Akira Tozawa. Well, that was crazy. A clothesline. Takes down Akira Tozawa. Shinsuke Nakamura in the far corner. John Van splashes him with a knee. Takes him down. Nakamura counters and escapes the corner. Misses with his move. John Van tags him with a right. Stuns him. Goes behind. Knee right to the head of Shinsuke Nakamura. Oh, he didn't like that one bit. Nakamura comes back in. John Van having himself a grand old time. Clothesline ends the grand old time. Out goes John Van onto the floor. Rolls back in. Nakamura misses with the kick. John Van connects with his kick. Nakamura back up on his feet. John Van escorts him to the Originals corner. Here comes Guy Cormier on the tag, and here comes a double team from the Originals. An air-assisted shoulder tackle from Guy Cormier as he takes over for the O's. Piston and hard right hands to the head of Shinsuke Nakamura and going for a quick cover. But right there, Akira Tozawa to spoil the parade. A series of hard lefts to Nakamura from Guy Cormier. The Staten Island Crippler moves on out, lets in John Van. Here comes Akira Tozawa on the tag. Fails to connect with that jumping neckbreaker, catches a hard right, counters with an elbow. John Van locked up into an abdominal stretch, but countered into a hip toss by John Van. John rebounds off the ropes, big time flying kick to Shinsuke Nakamura. Akira Tozawa. Whip to the ropes. Head-on collision, man. Wow. Tozawa fails to connect with his move. John Van takes him down to the canvas. More schoolyard bully pummeling from the Chicago Hammer. And here comes Guy Cormier on the tag. Tozawa moves in, fails to connect with his move again. Cormier off the middle rope, fails to connect with the flying punch. Akira Tozawa takes him with a series of kicks and a DDT that takes Guy down. A senton right across the midsection of Guy Cormier. Cormier rolls out of the ring. John Van gets hung up by Akira Tozawa. Wow, this one's been good. Off the middle rope, flying punch takes Tozawa down to the canvas. Guy Cormier covers one, but just one. So far, so good. Running kick takes Tozawa down. Tozawa counters, gets back up on his feet. Tozawa beating it out of town again. Here comes Shinsuke Nakamura. Guy Cormier right there waiting for him. They lock up. Hard whip to the ropes for Nakamura. Up into a kick and then to another kick right back to the head. Nakamura counters with a couple of lefts to Guy Cormier. Turns his attention to John Van. Tags him with a right. Guy fails to connect with the running kick. Shinsuke Nakamura with a backbreaker on Guy Cormier. Nakamura trying to assert control. They haven't had much of it. Nakamura tags out. Here comes Akira Tozawa. Guy Cormier moves right in, catches a Hurricane Rana from Akira Tozawa. Wow, okay. Tozawa with a snapmare. Rebounds off the ropes. Basement dropkick takes down Guy Cormier again. Cormier back up on his feet, counters with a kick. Locks up Akira Tozawa. Hard whip to the ropes. Head-on collision with no result. They lock up. Kick to the midsection from Akira Tozawa. They lock up again. Guy Cormier. Whip to the ropes. Another Hurricane Rana with a pin this time. Look at this. 1, 2. Damn close. Good near fall from Akira Tozawa. Kick to the midsection. But Guy Cormier turns it into a back body drop. Guy steps out and lets in John Van. Akira Tozawa tags in Shinsuke Nakamura. John misses with that move. Nice move into an armbar from Shinsuke Nakamura. John Van with a leg snap on Nakamura. Nakamura counters, delivers a couple of rights. Akira Tozawa is out of town. Shinsuke Nakamura struggling to get to his feet as Guy Cormier comes in on the tag. Guy moves in, misses with the running knee. Shinsuke Nakamura misses but counters with a kick. Guy Cormier counters with a kick. They lock up. Nakamura whipped to the ropes and a big-time kick and then a second one to the back of the head. And here comes the Chicago Hammer again. The Originals really doing the job here. Whoa! Big-time clothesline to Nakamura. The Chicago Hammer tags him with a right. He comes around. Oh, here we go. There's the big-time Iron Claw. The Von Raschke style Iron Claw. Shinsuke Nakamura fighting it, but it's no use. The referee says he's done, and he is out to lunch. The Originals defeating Nakamura and Tozawa by submission. Wow, what a match.
The time, 7 minutes and 29 seconds. Your winners by pinfall, the Originals.
Well, Nakamura and Tozawa were definitely the little engines that could, and they certainly did try, but they wound up being, like Michael O'Donoghue used to say, the little engines that died. The Originals taking them to task, and John Van putting this one to bed with that claw hold. The O's doing what they usually do best, winning.
Most definitely, the Originals are amazing. And this was a most impressive win against Tozawa and Nakamura. Our main event involving the Big Boss Man and Boston Connor when we return in just a moment.